and welcome to Editing with My Wife, now with a whole lot of love. I'm the Hooded Philosopher, and I'm here with Cheesy Loops. Cheesy Loops, what kind of podcast are we doing here?
A podcast that's the best part of anyone's day. Well, at least mine.
Ah, that's good. That's
best
good.
Part of my day.
Let's hope we can make it the best part of anyone's day. Let's start with a recap.
Recap time. Chapter 8, Little Dragon Tears. The boys' dad becomes the girls' dad too. Izzi is angry and Katy teleports. Renner pops a tough question. Wedding in Vegas and reporting to Zig. In Chapter 9, too many questions. Returning to Zig only to find home. Eat exactly what they want and talk a lot. Emerald gateways that lead to fun. And Leslie asks too many questions.
All right, and that ended with Leslie asking questions about the way it is, that how Zig is, what he is, and more importantly, the question about the portals. And that is not a question that she needs an answer to. Mm-hmm. So now we're working on Chapter 10.
Even though it says Chapter 11.
Yes, this is, because that's Leslie's ticket. So just need to fix it. And I didn't name it.
No, you did not.
There's only one pen, but yeah.
Homecoming.
No?
No, it's okay. Life in the Stars. Oh, that's a little better.
That's a work in progress. It can change.
It can change.
All right.
So this time we're going to read all the way through?
Yes, and I'm going to read all of it except for the ladies' parts. I'm going to try it with me doing the dialogue this time. Give you a break.
Try to read what's on the page.
Mm-hmm.
We can always fix it later.
Well, okay. Otto walked alongside his father. They walked to home. This is where the beginning is, and as you can see, the forest to the left, the lake to the right, the mountain in between. It has a massive geode on the back with crystals of every color. The mountain is some sort of power, or seems to be the means of power. I gotta see all the words. The lake, from what Izzy told me, seems to be a form of entertainment, and the geode is for communication, and the forest is like a big home with lots of space to rest and eat and walk. This is all so much. All I really want to know is if you're doing okay. I'd understand if you don't want to talk about it, but I want you to know I'm fine, I'm here, I'm alive. And I love you two and your sister so much. He was looking at Otto, who was looking at the landscape in front of him. I know, Dad. I've known my whole life. Thanks for saying it. Makes it easy to know. He looked back at his dad, tears filling his eyes. I watched her kill you. It was too much, he said, hugging his dad tightly. Like, if he were to let go, he would disappear. Robert held his son back. After a few moments, Robert offered, let's go see your sisters. Otto wiped his face and looked off into the lake. Robert kept a protective arm around his son as they began to walk towards the lake. I just want you to know that I'm proud of the risks that you take for the family, and I'm impressed at how well you can look through different perspectives. It's kind of where wisdom lies. I heard from Izzy you can swim that swimming is easier. You can walk along the bottom, and most importantly, you can breathe in it, Otto smiled. Well, you know me. Sign me up for any new experience. Robert looked back at the lake, only to be standing on its shores, like this one. He saw the girls' outer clothing on some nearby rocks, so they decided to leave theirs there too and leapt into the lake. They swam because it was faster and began searching for Hannah and Izzy. When they got close, Izzy and Hannah waved until Robert got close enough to see thorn holes all over her arms and at the base of her neck. The kids all felt Hannah's shame, and quickly the other two swam over to her and caught her in an embrace. Izzy and Hannah swam back to shores, as Otto and Robert hung back and let her have the space. When they joined them back on the shore, Hannah was sitting alone on some rocks back in her sweater and slacks. Otto felt Hannah. Her feelings were complicated and only made worse with him there. He got the hint, and he told his dad that he would be back at the mountain paying penance. He sighed and took off to the mountain, leaving Hannah to talk to her father. I don't expect to remotely understand anything that's happened to you, and please, Angel, I don't want to judge you here. You don't have to explain anything. I love you. He stood there, naked of understanding, vulnerable, tears welling in his eyes, at the thought of the pain she must have had to endure, and must still endure, to have such wounds.
When we first got to Zig, we had to stop security from killing us. Hannah paused and pointed to the haunting mass of living metal floating above the mountain. Living metal oozed out of her sleeve. If Robert saw it, he didn't say anything. She gave him a smaller copy of the monster Troon. This is, or at least what Troon looks like. As for the metal went back into her sleeve. It was my gift from Zig. She looked at her father as the tears rolled out of her eyes in a gentle sympathy.
His eyes.
Oh, out of his eyes in gentle sympathy.
What's
Robert
the context?
looked at her father, by the way.
Oh, that was the wrong one.
That was the wrong one, and it is his eyes.
Oh, you messed up.
I messed up. Robert had nothing to say. All he can seem to do was express his sympathy, or maybe words would start something that would break him. Either way, he listened. The beast Troon.
The beast Troon was coming for us.
Wait.
Oh, that's not me. Never
That's
mind.
not you. The beast Troon was coming for us. Zig asked for the one of us with the most goodness to walk into a flower. It was the thing that needed to happen, or we were all going to die. I walked into the prettiest flower and took a seat when the thorns went into me. It hurt. When I felt the metal replace my blood, and that was agony, but was in the power that I felt the truest pain. Now she was crying, but it didn't stop. Troon had wrapped his hideous metallic grasp.
Those are some big words.
Nah, it's just my brain not working today. Troon had wrapped his hideous metallic grasp around the other three when I came to. I knew what I had to do because I had newfound connection to the beast. It tried to manipulate my intentions to fight, but something inside me told me to mark them as mine. That's why all of you have an anchor on your forehead. Robert reached up to his forehead, feeling the thin layer of metal on his head. I want to fix things.
Me too.
Feeling this on his head seemed to bring him a kind of emotional stability. Hannah was now struggling to get the words out. The greatest pain I ever faced was when I lost my mortality.
Robert wiped his eyes, and in that brief moment, Hannah was no longer in front of him. Otto's voice came to him. Sorry about that, Dad. Izzy couldn't handle the pain. I don't think I could have much longer, either. Meet us at the mountain. We all love you, Dad. Thanks. Robert allowed himself to grieve. When he composed himself, he returned to the mountain. Katy was standing at the entrance. Renner explained that Hannah has the abilities to allow others to take her emotional burden, while at the same time she can make them feel emotionally stable. But the truth that you learned, the one that rocks her to her core, Zig and Leslie are talking in another room, and she still doesn't know because that's not really their mom. He thought you'd understand, being their father, their actual father. Robert nodded. I'm happy you and Renner have gotten close. He used to say there's nothing I won't tell her. She scrunched her face and said, I know. I've known about the sisters for years. We're actually quite close. She hugged him. Thanks for being such a good father to them. Her smile beamed. Robert took a deep breath to steel himself before saying, Thanks, Cat. Then they walked into the room with the twins. Otto and Renner met them at the entrance. Renner put his arm... I've just read Katie's lines. Renner put his arm around his brother and explained, It was all over, Dad. His grasp was so firm. Otto said, we watched our sister in agony and accepted our death. She saved us, Dad. She saved us all. Robert let out another sigh, this time a little more from exhaustion than from emotional stability. I'm just happy you're all safe, and look at how far you've gone. And he gestured all around them. This is incredible. You just can't tell Mom about Hannah, not yet. Renner had his face alight with inspiration. Wait, you're both dads, right? Robert nodded with a nodded look of confusion growing. So that means the girls' mother is alive. He grabbed Otto and they took off to tell their sisters. We need to find her, was Hannah's response. I'll let you continue. We'll just take turns, maybe. It's hard to...
Zig seemed just as enthused by this. Zig seemed just as enthused by the news as the kids.
You really listen to the news.
That is until he had to explain that it'll take 2 days for the surveillance crystal required to detect that finite and distinct a life form. They were still so excited that maybe everyone they care about could be safe. It's been a long day. Let's go and rest in the forest, and for the next 2 days we'll be looking from our side to glimpse any details that may lead us to her, or at least to better understand her. Excuse me. They showed their parents to the forest where they slept. It needs to be said that Zig can make it night and day at his leisure. Regardless, the canopy above the beds was dense and dark. The breeze keeps you cool as you sleep. Robert woke up first, and then went down and sat at the table and picked at some veggies growing out of the tree. As he sat down there, feeling the breeze and drinking a fruit, Leslie came down. "You didn't get a lot of sleep." She sat next to him and held him close, but she felt a distance.
"I'm plagued by nightmares of my wife stabbing me to death," Robert said flatly.
She laid her head on his chest. "I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again." When she said this, he laughed and kissed her on the top of her head.
"Thanks, I'll hold you to it." Robert rested his head on the foliage around him and let out a deep sigh.
"I hear there's an edible coral that grows in the lake. Would you like to join me on a trip out there?" Leslie looked into his eyes.
"Only if you give me a kiss." He kissed her, holding her close in an embrace, after a small breakfast, and made their way out to the lake. Otto got up next. Well, he got up before Leslie, only for the same reason as his father. After he heard his parents leave, he ventured down and grabbed the red crunchy nuts that grew in bunches. They were the crunchiest. Zig appeared under the zig tree. "Oh, Otto." There's no O. "Otto, I heard what happened down on Earth." He let it hang there. Otto put down the nuts he was eating and grabbed a fruit drink. After a quick drink, he looked at Zig. "What did you hear?" Otto asked. I heard about what you saw through the black rings." Otto slumped in his chair. "Yeah, I saw my mother kill my father. Is my gift any better than Hannah's?" "There are many perspectives, many rings in that bag. You will see life is volatile. But even the choppiest seas stand no chance against the right anchor, and you have a strong anchor." Almost like being summoned, the girls came down from the canopy.
Izzy excitedly sat down next to him. Hannah stayed standing. "We're thinking about exploring the forest. Zig says some of the local flora has certain funny properties." Otto looked at Zig. "Is it safe?" "As long as you avoid the event in the stump," Zig said, adding, "Remember, Otto, perspectives are key." "Let's do it." Otto grabbed some of the nuts for the trip. Together they left to explore the forest's medicinal properties. Then after some time, Renner came down, followed by his new bride.
That's you. No, that's fine.
"That is the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in," Katy said, excited to explore this place after so much rest. She found a seat where there was no picked-at fruit.
Renner sat next to her. "We should go for a run around the place, really get the scope of it," Renner propositioned.
"Oh yeah, and then we can climb to the geode. I really want to see it," Katy said, then took a bite of a fruit so juicy that it dripped down her cheeks.
Renner wiped it off with his thumb. "That sounds perfect. Make sure you eat your veggies. They'll give you an energy boost." They chatted back and forth until they were full. Then they got up and walked to home, which looked a little different now that Zig was back in control. He greeted them at the door made of the bioluminescence. They began what would have been an arduous trek, but in fact was a wonderful time between a loving couple. You go ahead and finish it.
As the parents walked to the lake, Robert talked at length about the girls and what it was like to be their father, and the ways in which it was so different from the boys, at Leslie's request, before they got to the beach. The sand was grabbing at their feet as they walked deeper into the lake. Leslie's rational mind refused to breathe in water. That was until Robert gave her a slap on the back. She took a deep breath and began to giggle. They went into the reef and each took a piece. Leslie began to walk back to the beach. Robert stopped her, shaking his head. He took a bite and, pointing to his mouth, he was smiling. He swallowed, then Leslie took a bite. He took her to a big open space, then lay down on his back. She joined him on the lake bed, when all of a sudden light began flashing. The pair laid holding hands for hours in bliss, watching the lights. Uh-oh.
What?
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I've got it going. Bigger times, yeah. just some things on the screen. All right, so let's start at the top.
Okay.
That's now feeling like a better name, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Kind of just like, and I think Life in the Stars is kind of similar on the next chapter.
Like, this is kind of like what it would be if there was no impending doom on Earth.
That might be the name of the next chapter. Otto walked alongside his father. They walked to home. I do this a lot.
What's this?
So the idea is Otto and his father walk to home, and so they can get a good view and get the understanding of the distance. And then they go to after his father tries to have a serious conversation, and Otto tries not to talk about it too much, because when he does, it breaks him a little bit.
Yeah.
And so he's tamping it down, uses his sister as an obvious let's have more people around situation, and my father would be more comfortable, and it would be easier maybe to talk with my sister around, who's always been there for me, and he didn't think of his obvious error that his sister wouldn't want to be seen without that sweater on.
Yeah.
And
but you say you do this a lot.
Oh, the home. They walk to home.
Yeah.
And then Katy and Renner walk to home.
Yes. It's a place, not a...
I know.
Not a house.
It's odd. Well, they walked to home because they wanted to start there to walk around the whole thing. They were going around it.
Yeah.
And Otto and his father were going to this, and this is all before they went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So scroll back up, because you're scrolling up and down for no reason.
Yeah.
So Otto walked alongside his father as they walked towards home.
Yeah, you did
or
say
to
that.
home. To home is fine, because it's to a
Yeah,
place.
this is where we...
This is where the beginning is.
That's a terrible way of saying it.
This is where we came in. This is where we started.
As you can see, the forest on the left and the lake on the right. The mountain in between has a massive geode on the back with crystals of every color.
The mountain seems to be...
That's an apt description. That's a good way to start it. And then he's talking about what each of these things do.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot of ands here. So this sentence.
Okay, hold on. The lake, from what Izzi told me, seems to be a form of entertainment. The geode is for communication.
See, they just need an and here.
The forest is like a big home with lots of space to rest, eat, and walk.
Well, that and was appropriate.
No, it's a new sentence. You don't want to start a new sentence with
Okay.
and.
And that's good enough for him to start explaining, and then they start walking.
Hold on. This is all so much.
This is where I'm trying to be real, and I don't know if I'm being real.
That's fine.
You know.
Mm-hmm. This is all so much. All I really want to know is if you're doing okay. I would understand if you don't want to talk about it, but I want you to know I'm fine. I'm here. Alive. Yes. These comments are these natural pause. You want to do I'm here, alive. As a final poignant thing.
Maybe even like give it a little bit more of a space there. Alive. Just to kind of verify everything he can possibly say is said, that he's here.
So, I love you.
And I think we don't need the and, of course.
I love you.
Because there's already one right after it.
I love you too, and your sister so much.
I could do boys.
You could. I don't think you need to. I love you too, and your sisters. Like, it's...
I could do my boys. I love my boys and your sisters. No, I think you're right. I think it's better just keep it at that. It's more... It's clear. Okay, it's clear.
Yeah, it's good.
Clear.
It's good. He's looking at Otto, who is looking at the landscape in front of him.
So already Otto's not engaging.
Yes.
He's scared of this reality.
Yes.
And it is terrifying.
I know, Dad, I've known that my whole life. Thank you for saying it. It makes it easier to know. He looked back at his dad. Oh.
As his dad tears. Well, he looked back at his dad. That's the comma I'm missing.
Yes, that's the comma you're missing.
Okay.
I watched her kill you. It was too much.
He's grateful for his dad and he wants to engage, but he's telling him this is too much.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not, as you can see this happening.
Uh-huh.
Also, this is a new line.
Yes. He said, hugging his dad tightly, as if he were to let go. As if, tightly like if he were to let go, he would disappear.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No, this is not a different line.
Oh, it's not a different line.
It's
right.
both Otto. What am I thinking? Yeah.
Robert held his son back. Okay, so there's got to be a way. I know what you're trying to say with Robert held his son back. Maybe instead of held, it's hugged his son back, because held his son back could mean a distance, whereas you want to say held his tightly.
Oh, held his son tightly.
Held his tightly.
His son.
Yes.
It's a censorship. It has his penis.
What?
He held his blank tightly. You see?
Oh,
Censorship.
I see.
All right.
After a few moments, Robert offered, "Let's go see your sisters." So Robert asked to go there.
Right. I mean, Robert's probably not very comfortable with it either, but he did say something he thought was very important.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the reciprocation of it, and so he's like, okay, if it's too much, let's go see your sisters.
Yeah.
So Robert's the one who's like, let's go find someone else to fill this space so you are a little more comfortable, and your sisters seem to be doing that, and they're out having fun, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind. And Robert didn't know.
Yes.
So Otto didn't think about it in the moment, probably because of the lack of connection with his sister, unless it's intense, and she's not doing anything intense right now.
Otto wiped his face and took off to the lake. Robert kept a protective arm around his son as he began to walk towards it. As they begin to walk. You can just get, as they begin to walk. I just want you to know that I am proud of the risks you take for the family. And I'm impressed at how well you can look through different perspectives. It's kind of where wisdom lies. See through different perspectives. There's an "and" at the beginning of the sentence as well. I'm impressed at how well you can see through different perspectives. That's kind of where wisdom lies. Okay. From what I heard from Izzi. Or what I heard from Izzi, you can swim. Oh. Is that swimming is easier.
Ah, yes.
That's... Okay. What I heard from Izzi is that swimming is easier. You can walk along the bottom, and most importantly, you can breathe in it, Otto smiled. Well, sign me up. Sign me up for any new experience. Robert looked back at the lake, only to be standing at its shores. Like this one.
Like this one. Because he's kind of like walking up on this weird place that you're supposedly able to breathe under the water and everything. He's up for it, but this is a weird one.
Well, no. I saw it more of you take a few steps and you're like 5 miles
well, it's
down
he's kind of like, he is saying that having daughters all of a sudden, being on an alien spaceship that isn't like technology based, it's all very weird and strange and different, and it's new, that's for sure, like everything. Anyway, that's good.
He saw the girls' outer clothing on some nearby rocks, so they decided to leave theirs there too.
So we talked about leaving clothes out. We're leaving the clothes out because the water would be inhibited by the clothing. Just to clarify, I don't know if we said that on mic.
No, I don't
that was the idea of why they all took their clothes off, because if you pull it out dry, what's the worry? Mm-hmm. But if it's inhibiting you from being able to swim effectively, you would want it off, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So they decided to leave theirs too, and then leapt into the lake. They swam because it was faster and began searching for Hannah and Izzi. Okay. They swam because it was faster than walking across the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or walking across the bottom. And began searching for Hannah and Izzi.
See, I did it like 5 times in here. Oh. It's a palindrome. That H needs to be there. Hooded. Goodness gracious.
When they got close, Izzi and Hannah waved until Robert got close enough to see the thorn holes all over her arms and the base of her neck. Okay, so until needs to be commaed. Both sides.
No, until Robert. No?
No.
Hannah waved until Robert... Why is there a pause there? They got close to Izzy and Hannah. When they got close, Izzy and Hannah waved.
Until...
That is until Robert got close enough to see the thorn holes all over her arms and at the base of... all over Hannah's arms and at the base of her neck. Let's make sure we clarify. There's no confusion here. The kids all felt Hannah's shame and quickly
And quickly the other two swam over to her and caught her in an embrace. Delete 2.
Yeah, swam over to her and caught her in an embrace. Izzy and Hannah swam back to the shore as Otto and Robert hung back and let them have their space.
Let her have her space.
Oh, to let her have the space. Izzy and Hannah swam back to the shore to let her have the space. When they joined them back on shore, Hannah was sitting alone on some rocks, back in her sweater and slacks.
Otto felt Hannah, her feelings were complicated and only made worse with him there. He got the hint and told his dad that he would be back at the mountain paying penance.
So you asked me about back at the mountain paying penance.
Yes.
And what was my response? What was Otto trying to express by saying that?
That he realized he messed up and
he brought Robert to Hannah.
Yeah.
And Robert didn't know, and Hannah didn't want Robert to know right then, and didn't want to have a conversation like this.
And Otto's the
but
one
she would, because she loves her father.
Otto's the one she confided in this information that she's nervous
Yeah,
about.
and it just, because of the being with Dad, maybe, as a part of it, that the dad being stabbed, his mind wasn't there. He doesn't have the same mind as everyone else. He isn't thinking like everyone else. And it affects him pretty heavily.
Yeah. He sighed and took off to the mountain, leaving Hannah to talk to her father. When does Izzy leave? Izzy went
with her to the shore.
Yes, but Izzy's still here in this scene. He sighed and took off to the mountain.
And took off...
with Izzy.
Good catch. With Izzy to the mountain. Leaving Hannah to talk to her father. So now here being another place where I'm trying to be real, and I don't know if I am. I don't expect the remote... So the Robert comes in saying, I know that you're not going to say things that make sense to me. Look at what's happening around him.
Yeah.
It's obvious to Robert that whatever she says, it doesn't matter. He loves her. And that's all that matters. She doesn't need to explain anything. And that's where he starts.
I don't expect to remotely understand anything that has happened to you. And please, Angel, I don't want to be the judge here. You don't have to explain anything. I love you. And
the naked of understanding is an interesting way of putting it, isn't it? What am I trying to express with that?
That he's not... He doesn't understand, and he won't understand.
Like, understanding can be used as a mask. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I can relate to you. And he's saying, I totally understand I can't. I am free from that understanding. I am not wearing any masks. I am naked of it.
Yeah.
And then you get into the vulnerability of it. Of course, that's going to make anyone start to tear up.
And then, I mean, holes.
And this is just from the pain that he sees that she had to have endured.
Yeah.
And then she gets into it. Like, straight up. She doesn't want him to... She wants him to understand, regardless of whether or not he can. She's going to try and push it on.
Yes.
And it goes kind of rough. Because she isn't sure where to start or what to say. So she starts with the most important point.
When we first got to Zig, we had to stop security from killing us.
That was it, right there.
Comma after Zig. Hannah paused and pointed to the haunting mass of living metal floating above the mountain. Living metal oozed out of her sleeve. If Robert saw it, he didn't say anything. She gave him a smaller copy of the monster Troon. This is, or at least what Troon looks like. As for the metal, he didn't react or say anything. Okay.
So he may have seen it, but not even Hannah would tell. because he respects her and cares about her, and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
He has Hannah, and that's what matters right now.
So...
And she points out this, maybe there needs to be something he says there. And I think he just wants to remain silent, fully understanding he can't understand. He's not going to try. He just wants to be there for her. So he's just keeping quiet, right?
Yeah.
And
as for the living metal should be its own sentence. It's a whole different point.
Where?
This is, or at least what true looks like. And then the sentence should end in a comma.
You're right. Metal went back into a sleeve.
It was my gift from Zig.
See, it gets a name, so I don't have to repeat metal, but it's funny because his name.
Yeah.
It was my gift from Zig.
She looked at her father as the tears rolled out of her eyes.
Out
of his eyes in gentle sympathy.
His eyes are the ones that the tears are rolling out of.
Yeah.
He's crying because he's realizing what she's saying. It's
yes.
Intense for anyone to have to go through.
Robert had nothing to say. All he could seem to do was express his sympathy. Or maybe words would start something that would break him.
Express his sympathy through his tears.
Yes.
So all he could do was seem to express his sympathy through his tears. Or maybe words would start something that would break him.
Either way, he listened.
Does that add up?
Yes, because if he started talking, he
would start crying.
He would be able to listen to her story.
Regardless, he listened.
Yes.
Because he's not going to do either of those things. It's going to make him bawl.
The beast Troon was coming for us. Zig asked for the one of us with the most goodness to walk into a flower. It was the thing that needed to happen, or we were all going to die. I walked into the prettiest flower and took a seat. When the thorns went into me, it hurt. When I felt the metal replace my blood, that was agony. Get rid of "and" that was agony. So she's stepping it up every time. It hurt when the thorns went in her. When I felt the metal replace my blood.
Yeah, she's got to say something, and she's not really sure what it should be.
No, comma and lowercase.
Comma.
Yeah, comma and lowercase t. That was agony. But it was in the power that I felt the truest pain. So each step, it's hurt, agony, and truest pain. So it's a step up every time something happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. And she walked into the prettiest flower. There's no better way for her to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the prettiest one.
Now she was crying, but that didn't stop her from saying.
And then she keeps going. That's not it.
No.
The next step up is here, is at the end of the phrase.
But that didn't stop her from saying.
Oh.
Her. Troon had wrapped his hideous metallic grasp around the other three when I came to. I knew what I had to do because I had a newfound connection to the beast. It tried to manipulate my intentions to fighting.
To fight.
To fight?
To fight.
Okay.
He tried to manipulate my intentions to fight.
Okay.
I had an intention to fight, and he tried to manipulate it.
But something inside me told me to mark them as mine.
Intention. It would be one intention. That's the problem.
Yes.
But it's something inside me told me
to mark them as mine. That's why all of you have an anchor on your forehead. Robert reached up to his forehead, feeling the thin layer of metal. Get rid of on his head. No, not that one. No, not that one.
I was just going to put it.
Then get rid of on his head.
That's fine, either way.
And then
feeling this on his head seemed to bring him some kind of emotional stability is an important sentence, and I wanted to highlight it.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say?
Feeling this, that her anchoring is starting to work on them.
The anchor itself does something.
Yeah.
Right? The anchor itself does something, yeah. It's doing something right now. Mm-hmm. As long as she can contain it.
Hannah was now struggling to get the words out. The greatest pain I ever faced was when I lost my mortality. I feel like it needs to be spaced She's telling him the hardest thing to tell your father, which is that you will never die.
And that's why she can't handle it anymore, because she's now got to face the fact that she's going to outlive her father. Right to his face.
Not just outlive her father.
Yeah, it's something bigger than outlive.
Because that you kind of expect to outlive your parents.
Yeah.
But she has to outlive her siblings.
And her grand-sibling and grandkids and all that.
Yeah, she has to outlive her...
I mean, a lot of people would say she's lucky, though. Very lucky.
I don't know. Mortality is...
We haven't finished the story.
Robert wiped his eyes, and in that brief moment, Hannah was no longer in front of him. Otto's voice came to him. Sorry about that, Dad. Izzy couldn't handle the pain. I don't think I could much longer either. Meet us in the mountain. We all love you, Dad.
Actually, I don't think that does need to be there.
I don't think.
Just don't think I could handle it much longer.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Dad. Izzy couldn't handle the pain. Don't think I could handle it much longer. Either. I don't think I need either there. I don't think I can handle it much longer. I don't think I could handle it much longer.
I don't think.
You know,
I don't think.
I could even.
Hold on. Stop. I don't think I could much eye longer.
Holy!
Delete the I. I don't think I could much longer.
No, okay.
There you go.
I don't think I could much longer.
Meet us in the mountain. We all love you, Dad. Thank you. Not thanks. Thank you. Robert allowed himself to grieve. When he composed himself, he returned to the mountain. Katy was standing at the entrance. Renner explained that Hannah has the ability to allow others to take her emotional burden, while at the same time, she can make them feel emotionally stable. But that truth you learn, that one rocks her to her core. Okay. That one, pause, rocks her to her core. That one rocks her to her core. Zig and Leslie are talking in another room, and she still doesn't know, because that's not really their mom. He thought you'd understand, you know, being their father, their actual father.
That one rocks her to her core, so it rocks the whole boat.
Put an S at the end of rock.
And you could also say... Remember, Zig and Leslie are talking in the other room, and she still doesn't know
because she's
about Hannah, because that's not really their mom.
He thought you'd understand, you know, being their father, their actual father. You don't have actual. He just says. What are you doing?
I'm trying to remember what I was going to add.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. You didn't know about Hannah. I wanted to specify that because that's not really their mom. He thought you'd understand, you know, being their father. ... Their actual father.
Robert nodded. I'm happy you and Renner have gotten close. He used to say there was nothing I won't tell her.
Okay, you change that to Katy.
There's nothing I won't tell Katy. She scrunched her face and said, I know. I've known about the sisters for years. We're actually quite close.
There you go. And he gives her the okay to say that she's way ahead of him on this.
I know, comma. I've known about the sisters for years. We are actually quite close. She hugged him. And that needs to be brought back up. There you go.
Thanks for being such a good father to them. Her smile beamed.
Robert took a deep breath to steel himself before saying, Thanks, Cat. And then walked into the room with the twins. Otto and Renner met them at the entrance.
Let me see if this works.
Before almost not saying... Okay, before almost not saying...
Like he's caught up in his throat, like not being able to say it because of the... Like, thanks, Cat. Like, it's... He has a frog in his throat, and it comes out in the thanks, Cat. When they walked into the room with the twins, Otto and Renner met them at the entrance. Renner put his arm around his brother as he explained. It was all over, Dad. His grasp was so firm. That's Renner.
Mm-hmm. Otto said, we watched
I
our
think-
sister in agony.
I like this. Being... There. We watched our sister in agony. She then accepted our death. She saved us, Dad. She saved us all, Otto added. Robert let out another sigh, this time a little more from exhaustion than for emotional stability. And that makes sense?
Yes.
He's
yes.
physically tired, not only because of his emotions. I'm just happy you're all safe. And look at how far you've gotten. He gestured all around them, which is needs a... I think I'm gonna give that an exclamation point. This is incredible. You just can't tell Mom about Hannah, not yet.
Okay, hold on. Real quick. What if this is incredible? After that, he says, you've all been through so much. Maybe even too much. Something to that effect. Is that bad? Out of character? What you got? Clack, clack, clack.
There you go. This is incredible. You've all been through too much. You just can't tell Mom about Hannah. Not yet, Otto repeated. Renner had his face alight with inspiration. You're both dads, right? Robert nodded, looking at the confusion growing. A look of confusion. There you go. Robert nodded, a look of confusion growing. Comma. So that means the girl's mother's alive. He grabbed Otto and then they took off to tell their sisters. We need to find her, was Hannah's response. Zig seemed just as enthused by the news as the kids. That is until he had to explain that it would take 2 days for the surveillance crystal required to detect that finite and distinct a life form. They were still so excited that maybe everyone they care about could possibly be safe. Oh, finally be safe. Finally be safe. It's been a long day. Let's all go rest in the forest, and for the next 2 days, we will be looking from our side to glimpse any details that may lead us to her, or at least to a better understanding of her. To better understand her. Or at least to better understand her.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
They showed their parents the forest where they slept. It needs to be said that Zed can make it day or night at his leisure. Regardless, the canopy above the beds is dense and dark, and the breeze keeps you cool as you sleep. So it needs to be said that Zig can make it day and night at his leisure?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, the canopy, do I need that in there?
No, because it's, even if the sun is up, they can sleep whenever.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
So Zig can turn the lights off, but it doesn't really matter.
Because,
It can be night, but it doesn't really matter because if you're up in the canopy, it's dark and dense.
It's meant to be slept in no matter what shift you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert woke up first. Great joke.
Put your dots in between those two.
You think that?
Yeah, but put your period back.
I didn't mean to take it, sorry. Okay.
Clack, clack, clack.
Okay, Robert woke up first, went down and sat at the table and picked at some veggies growing out of a tree. As he sat down, the feeling...
As he sat down there feeling the breeze and drinking a fruit.
Feeling the breeze and drinking a fruit, Leslie came down. You didn't get a lot of sleep. She sat next to him, held him close, but even though she could feel a distance. To
Hugh?
She sat next to him and held him close, even though she could feel a distance. Okay, I'm plagued by nightmares of my wife stabbing me to death, Robert said flatly. She laid her head on his chest. I'm sorry, I won't promise I won't do it again. When she said this, he laughed. He couldn't help but laugh.
Makes you curious as to why she did it in the first place.
Who?
The other Leslie.
Why she stabbed?
Why she stabbed.
Yeah, they get into it. I get into it.
Okay.
When she said this, he couldn't help but laugh and kissed her on top of her head. Thanks, I'll hold you to it. Robert rested his head on the foliage around him and let out a deep sigh. I hear there's an edible coral that grows in the lake. Would you like to join me on a trip out there? Leslie looked into his eyes. Only if you give me a kiss. He kissed her, holding her close in an embrace. After a small breakfast, they made their way out to the lake. A small breakfast of fruits and veggies. They made their way out to the lake.
Do you really need fruits and veggies there? I mean, it's obvious that that's what they're eating.
Okay, fair enough.
Only inside the mountain do they eat anything other than fruits and veggies.
It comes up whatever it is specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. Otto got up next. He got up before Leslie, only for the same reason as his father.
Plagued of dreams of his father getting stabbed by his mother. Yeah. You don't have to have only. For the same reason as his father. Before Leslie. For the same reason as his father. After he heard his parents leave, he ventured down.
He ventured down and grabbed the red crunchy fruit. And so he ventured down, grabbed the red crunchy fruits that grew in bunches.
Nuts.
They were the crunchiest. Yeah. Zig appeared under the Zig tree. Otto, I heard what happened down on Earth. He let it hang there. Is that a good idea?
Yeah. What do you mean?
It's just like they're alone. That's why Zig does it.
Because
he wants to check in.
He wants to check in.
Okay.
It's easier when they're alone, so they don't have to talk with other people there, trying to give him ideas.
And he gets a little venom for it. Otto put down the nuts he was eating, and grabbed a fruit drink. After a quick drink, I didn't change it when we were talking.
Yes.
Because we were doing that. He looked at Zig. What did you hear? Otto asked.
Zig looked gravely.
Looked at Otto gravely.
Looked at Otto gravely. I heard about what you saw through the black rings.
I heard about what you saw through the black rings.
And then Otto needs to be separated from Zig's quotes.
That is?
Yeah, because Otto starts talking here.
Otto slumped in his chair. Oh, you mean like this?
Yeah.
Otto slumped in his chair. Yeah, I saw my mother kill my father. Is my gift any better than Hannah's?
Quotes.
These quotes. This is, I think, quite eloquent, if I do say so myself.
There are many perspectives, many rings in that bag. You will see life is volatile, but even the choppiest seas stand no chance against the right anchor.
There are many perspectives, many rings in your bag.
And you don't need quotes there.
Oh, that's the wrong place.
Yeah. So here, real quick, you will see life is volatile, and then you start a sentence with but. And I don't think that's as bad, but and you have a strong anchor. Either needs to be a part of that sentence, or it needs to. So.
No, just a regular. I'm gonna go like this. You will see life is volatile. The choppiest seas stand no chance against the right anchor.
Comma.
You have his right anchor.
Comma.
Unless it's an actual sentence.
You and your siblings have a strong anchor. Have the strongest, strongest.
Yeah, the strongest anchor. Almost like being summoned, the girls came down from the canopy, which is a food. Izzy sat down next to him. Hannah stayed standing. We were thinking of exploring the forest. What the heck? Zig says that some of the local flora have certain funny properties. I don't know if that's the right word. Is flora a mushroom?
Ooh.
Is mushroom a flora?
is mushroom flora? Hold on one
I
second.
can Google. Is it time to Google?
It's time to Google.
All right, Google, work your magic. It's 100 episode. Yay! Episode 8 finally got put out. It's complete. You can now go watch episode 8 on YouTube. And episode 9 for tomorrow. Get ready.
Mushrooms are neither plants nor animals. They constitute their own kingdom, the fungi.
So flora is a flower, and so where is the word? There it is. It's fungus is the word.
Fungi.
Some of the local fungus have certain funny. Is fungi plural?
Fungi.
It is. Okay. Fungi have certain funny properties. This is a really, really tough chapter I'm talking about coming up. Otto looked at Zig. Is it safe? He's kind of looking for Zig for reassurance on taking drugs. Don't take drugs, kids, unless you get prescribed drugs. Then take drugs. As long as you avoid the rent in the stump, of course. Remember, Otto, perspectives are key. And this comes up, I believe I'm trying to say something about that chapter. Let's do it. Otto grabbed some nuts for the trip. Together they left to explore the forest for its medicinal properties. Yeah.
Then after some time, Renner came down, followed by his new bride. That is the most comfortable bed I have ever slept in. Yeah, she's punctuating herself.
Katy said, excited to explore this place after so much rest. She found a seat where there was no picked-at fruit. Renner sat next to her. We should go for a run around the place, really get the scope of it. Ooh.
Whoa. What is he doing? Scope of it. Renner propositioned.
I think he would be better here.
Oh yeah, and then we can climb to the geode. I really want to see it. Katy said, then took a bite of a fruit so juicy it dripped down her cheeks.
Renner wiped it off with his thumb. That sounds perfect. Make sure you eat your veggies. They'll give you an energy boost.
Get rid of the D.
An energy boost, not and energy boost. They chatted back and forth until they were full. Then they got up and walked home, which this doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that doesn't need.
Which we already discussed that when we. That's
and then Zig greeted them at the door because you got rid of that.
Okay.
Why would they would go back to? Why would Zig greet him at that door?
I don't know.
Like you had a purpose for that.
I did, and it must not be there.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Wow.
From there, the pair began what would have been an arduous trek, but was in fact a wonderful time between a loving couple. Okay. So I set up what the girls were doing.
Yes. Girls and Otto.
And Otto are off and doing something. Renner is running around with Katy, and Leslie and Robert are in the lake.
I think Robert's just trying to spend some healing time with his wife.
Yeah, and I forgot about Bunker and common apostrophe.
Well,
let's worry about that later. I think what we can do is come back through and weave it in through the chapters.
Yeah, not make it so rushed and forced.
So let's finish this off. I think it's all really good here. It's cute.
As the parents walked to the lake, Robert talked at length about the girls and what it was like to be their father, and the ways in which it was so different from the boys, at Leslie's request. Before they got to the beach, the sand was grabbing at their feet as they walked deeper into the lake. Oh yeah, that's better.
Yeah. As the parents walked to the lake, at Leslie's request, Robert talked at length about the girls and what it was like to be their father and the ways in which it was so different from the boys. Before they got to the beach.
Okay, so...
We could actually delete that. Because what I can do is... Before I knew it, the sand was grabbing at their feet as they walked deeper into the lake.
Okay, real quick.
Like,
As
just
the
all of a
parents-
sudden they're there in the lake, like,
Okay.
in the water.
As the parents walked to the lake, at Leslie's request, Robert talked at length about the girls. Okay. And before they knew it, the sand was grabbing at their feet. You don't have to say...
Yeah, I could just be period. Ah! They walked deeper into the lake. Comma, Leslie's rational mind refused to breathe in the water. That is until Robert gave her a slap on the back. She took a deep breath in and then began to giggle. A new experience. There you go. How mystified actually gets spelt with a Y. Really? They went to the reef. Let's reread that line. That is until Robert gave her a slap on the back. She took a deep breath in and then began to giggle. The new experience mystified her. They went to the reef and each took a piece of it. Yeah. Piece of it. Leslie began to walk back to the beach. Robert stopped her, shaking his head. He took a bite, pointing into his mouth. He was smiling as he swallowed. Period. Leslie took a bite. He took her to a big open space, then laid down on his back. She joined him on the lake bed when all of a sudden light began flashing. Beautiful.
B-E-A-U-T-ful.
A beautiful light show began flashing in the water. The pair laid holding hands for hours in bliss, watching the lights.
So I have a question.
Watching the light show.
What is it about this coral? What does it do? Clack, clack, clack.
It makes you feel bliss, and then you can see what's happening inside the digestive tract of this monster you're in. That's not really all that cool, though. Not as cool as laying on the bottom of a lake, breathing in the air and watching a weird light show go on.
Okay. Now, in previous chapters, you talked about how Troon likes the lake for its healing properties.
He likes it for its symbiotic properties.
Okay.
It cleans him. It gets the impurities out.
Okay.
And he goes in it and he eats the coral too, and he watches the light show too.
So, they may not know it, but there's some healing properties happening to them.
It's in the bliss, yeah. In the bliss of it. There's some healing properties.
So it's kind of like going to a spa and just relaxing.
After having such a hard-to-handle day, yeah. And not talking about it. Just holding hands and being next to each other. Because talking is pointless when you're in the water. You can't really speak through it very well. You can, but it's hard.
Oh, not only that, but Robert has a secret he has to keep from his wife for a bit.
Yeah.
And
makes it easy to not and to handle the grief.
And to handle all this.
The bliss kind of helps make it go away. And it was her idea.
Was it her idea?
Yeah.
Okay. And
she doesn't know about the secret, though.
And she thinks.
But of course, she doesn't want to know this secret either if she's really their mother. Because if she dies and the other Leslie figures it out and they get it from her,
yeah,
bad things happen.
The other thing is, too, he's also trying to heal from the fact that his wife just stabbed him.
Yeah. And she's right there with him still.
So.
All right. So, that was the short drug trip before the long drug trip.
The short drug trip.
Remember, if it's prescribed, it's okay.
And everything on Zig is
prescribed specifically for these people. By Zig. Granted, he's not a doctor, but He's a multi-dimensional being, so he knows what he's doing. All right, we need to recap before we're done.
Yes, we do. Recap.
Yeah.
So.
What did I call it?
Living in the Stars. Is that right?
I think so. Number 1.
It didn't do what you wanted it to. So, first thing that happened was Otto
talks to his dad.
Otto talks to his dad.
Plaques. Okay, Otto talks to his dad.
Robert learns
Forgets about
frogettes.
Forgets. That's how you spell it, isn't it? Forgets.
Frogettes.
No, it's fruggets.
Oh, it's froglets.
It's fruggets. It's not forget. It's forget.
Okay. Next
So that
point.
kind of the idea is that he didn't remember Hannah in the moment.
Yes. Robert learns Hannah must talk to her father. No, don't type that. Her father does not regret talking to her.
So I typed in father regrets talking to Hannah. Which, I mean, shit. After all the crap that they're having to go through, he regrets it a little bit. You don't want to have to hear these things and be in this world, but he knows that it's the magic is in the words. And she's saying the words.
Yes.
And he needs that magic.
Yes.
So he's letting it happen. He's a very wise man. Okay.
But
so
they all get restless sleep, depending on who you talk to.
yeah.
Handles grief without his wife. What the hey?
I don't know. That was annoying. There you go.
And well, actually, no. Get rid of that.
Why?
Begins tracking.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Oi! I'm dropping stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Looking for inframom.
Yeah, you got it. All right.
And then a 2-day wait. The start of the last good days. Mm-hmm. Sad face.
We'll move on to chapter 11 tomorrow. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
We love you.
Have a good day.
Let us know what you think about the book. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.